Hello. Hello, hello. Happy Saturday. How's everybody? Hi, Serenity. How you feeling? You any better? Oh, man. How's everybody Saturday? Hello, Asling. How are you? It's okay, butter. Oh. Yay, Serenity. Yay. I'm so happy about that. I'm okay. I'm a little stressed. But not bad. You know. I have a convention coming up this next weekend, and I haven't done one in a little bit, so I'm worried I'm gonna forget something or that I'm a little rusty or whatever. I'm sure once I start putting everything together, I'll probably be more in the mindset, but for right now, I'm just kind of all over the place. Plus, I have to get some commissions done before I even start worrying about that, so I've got that on my plate. Click in the front. I don't have that button anymore. It's probably blurry just because it's blurry. Let's see. Yeah, that's kind of as sharp as I can get it. It's because it's zoomed in. It's crappy because it is actually still a good camera. It's just, I don't know why it is kind of blurry, you know? Because, I mean, it's probably just too far away. Yeah, I switched the cam. Okay, so we're gonna do like a kind of quick ink wash tonight. And I haven't done an ink wash in a minute, so it could crash and burn, but we'll see, you know. I just wanted to make a couple more pieces to have to sell because I haven't been able to make much content lately. So we're gonna do this right now. Real quick, for anybody who's lurking that may not know, I've been doing an Instagram story on my page, and every day I've been updating it with a new, usually 2-panel part. So let's see, I don't want to share something I haven't done yet. So all of them are about this big, which is I think a little bit bigger than an ATC. This is technically a 5x7 that's just cut in half. And so I've just been doing things on this. Let's see. So those are yet to come. This is tonight. That was yesterday's. But yeah. Did you have troubles with the color settings in your Pivo? I'm messing around with settings for ages. Yeah, the iPivo kind of had some trouble. So what you got to do is, are you using OBS, Serenity? Because OBS has this extra set of filters that Gabe and I used to play with. Because if you right-click on one of your camera in your sources area in OBS, you can actually add brightness, contrast, desaturated, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, the filters are pretty much all you've got. I'd maybe check and see if iPivo has an extra desktop client that you can download that gives you extra options specifically for that camera, but if they don't, then yeah, you feel our pain then. Yeah, you kind of have to deal with whatever the least crappy looking is, which now I've got pretty true to color camera, but the fact it's kind of far away means I've had to use a sharpen filter, so it's not as clear, I guess, as it could be. Thank you, Shadow. Okay, so yeah, the new daily story should be in about an hour. I'll probably have to post it while I'm streaming so you guys will know when it goes up. So I actually got inspired to do this piece from, I was binging James Gurney videos recently while I was on the treadmill at the gym, and really good time to do that. But he was drawing sheep live at a, it wasn't exactly like just a farm. He was at like an event, like some kind of farm event. But anyway, he was painting them live, and they had these cool little cloaks on, these little head cloaks, and I thought they were so cool, but I also like got a heavy cult vibe off them. So because of that, I got kind of inspired to draw something a little bit more culty, than he was kind of drawing. He was doing it true to life, of course, but I can never draw things true to life. I just get way too bored. So there's always got to be an element of fantasy. Like, even if I'm doing life drawing, I'll usually like F around with it and add stuff that's not there, just so it's more interesting than real life. Like, I really don't have tolerance for a lot of realism, honestly. Which is funny because that carries over into kind of my taste in shows and stuff. I find it really hard to watch any crime shows or junk like that. Like, I can't do it. It's just too boring for me. Oh, thank you, Esling. I appreciate that. I'm very happy you enjoy my work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and add a wash to everything that I know is going to have it, and I'm going to start kind of laying the groundwork for the lighting, because I'm going to have this candle over here lit, so I want to make sure any lighting I'm adding, is going to complement the shadow work I put in here. So you got to kind of start doing that early on. So like the horns will have their shadow on the outfit, and then I'll just layer it. I'll build up layers. Inkwash is kind of nice because it's simultaneously nice to you and mean to you. Like, it's nice because, it goes down quick and, it dries pretty quick. But the mean part is it goes down quick and it dries quick. So you kind of have to choose it when you're in the right mood to just kind of deal with whatever happens. I used to do a lot of ink washes too, so I actually really like the permanence of it. And at first when I was starting them, I'd get pretty scared about it because it was so permanent and it was so unyielding. Like, you can't really morph it, you can't do much to it. The only thing you can do with it is afterwards use like a colored pencil and kind of go in and tweak some things, but for the most part it's pretty there, So I like that about it, and I wanted to like it about it early on too when I started it. Hi, Zambies. It's okay, Shadow, don't worry. I've had my share of pun people in my time. We usually have about 2 or 3 pun people that come in. So feel free. Puns are wholesome. They're sweet. I dig them. But I just like the layering aspect of Inkwash. I think it can be pretty relaxing and kind of therapeutic, so. Yep, honestly, I've got some ink here. It's a big glob of it, so you gotta be careful with it. And I'm just kind of taking it out and putting it in these 2 right now. And then just adding water and trying to get it to the opacity I want. I'm testing it up here at the top every time I do it. I'll try to do it over here so you can actually see it better. But just before I go into trying it on the main piece, I kind of do a test of it. And then later, yeah, I'll use the gel pen and the colored pencil to kind of put in my whites. Unless I can find my white ink. Right now I'm using Daler Rowney's FW brand ink. And they have like probably 2 or 3 different browns. I did a brown swatch sheet a while back. I don't think it's anywhere near me though. But regardless, they've got a few browns that are pretty nice. This one's just the sepia. So just the plain old sepia. And you can always like mix, you know, your browns together and use different layering of them, get warmers, coolers, all that stuff. Sometimes I just really appreciate the simplicity though of just using one ink and just playing with that. I feel like sometimes you can get the most creative when you're kind of given guidelines to work in, but also it takes a lot of the pressure off because you're just like, well, can't do that because this, you know. You can also use gouache to do lights sometimes, so I might also do that. I might actually do this instead of white ink, honestly. So, have you ever considered using natural stains for inks like... Yeah, I have. I actually used to have a friend that did strictly like wine and coffee and tea. She did a lot of those. I wouldn't mind it, but I am a little bit more afraid of how it would affect my materials a little bit. I don't know what it would do to my brushes and things, but that would also take a good bit of time ahead of time to kind of make a swatch sheet, see how they react over time, you know, all that sort of thing, so I can predict how they'll look. Because when you start a new medium, you want to kind of predict how it's going to look. So I've used this at least before, so I can kind of figure that out, but for anything new, I want to have enough time to experiment with it and kind of learn it before I apply it, typically. And I apologize if I'm a little sniffly. I did have a bit of a cold yesterday, and I was thinking, oh, you know, maybe I could skip streaming tonight too, but I skipped last week because I was way too busy, and I don't want to skip 2 in a row, especially since I won't be streaming this upcoming Saturday because I'll be at C2E2, which is a Midwest con that's in Chicago. So if anybody's in Chicago, come stop by, see me. You tell me you're on Twitch, I'll give you a goodie. You can take home, whatever. That's true, it would be pretty cool. I like the idea of the beets. I think beets would be a really nice color. I do have a thing for some red tones, so that would be pretty awesome. I might have to look into that. So like I said, as I'm doing most of this, I'm thinking about the light from there and how that's affecting everything. Honestly, in terms of if you're a starting artist and what you should learn, you know, first, I think getting down lighting is more important than color or anything else, really. Because depending on what you want to do with it, you know, whether you want to do architecture, characters, you know, props, whatever, lighting is pretty integral for everything. So not everything needs color, you know, not everything needs correct anatomy or things like that. So I would actually say getting down lighting is kind of number one. But that's just my opinion. It definitely can be. I think it's pretty fun though most of the time, especially if you've just got like 1 or 2 light sources. It can be kind of like math almost. And I don't really consider math fun. I do like algebra, but for the most part it's like, well, if this is here and that's shining here and this thing's above this thing and this thing's below this thing, then how is this other thing going to react? So I mean, just kind of knowing that and starting easy with simple like materials and such, you'll get it pretty quickly, I think. You just have to think about spatial relation and, you know, how things are interacting with each other. I think that's a pretty good thing to learn pretty early on. So that can help you eventually with proportion and ratios and all that junk. But, yeah, once you get into more lights and different color lights and all that kind of stuff, it can get difficult. Yeah, math, right? God. It's like I really liked my second year of algebra. Algebra 2 was really fun. But then once we got into geometry, and I didn't even go into calc or trig or any of that stuff. Like, I can't even. We got into proofs in geometry, and I swear to God, my teacher must have been just nuts. Because when I told other people how I learned to do proofs, they were like, why did you do it that way? I'm like, I don't know, but I hated it. It was awful. Proofs were like the worst thing ever. I feel like if I was maybe taught them the right way, I might like them. But the way she taught them, I was like, oh my God, this is crap. I hate it. It felt really backwards. I remember thinking that. I didn't plan on this music to be so kind of somber, but it really kind of works. You know, considering what we're doing here. You guys been doing anything cool this weekend, or any plans for the rest of the weekend? Doing cool stuff? My favorite animal. In the past 2 years, it's actually been porcupines. I did this the other day. This is going to be on my Instagram post for C2E2. It's me and my clover pip, and we're both telling a porcupine where to meet us at the convention. In the background, it's like the convention map, and I'm pointing to where we are. But porcupines have been my favorite animal, I think, for the past maybe 4 years. With beavers being a close second. I love woodland creatures. I have a couple prints with porcupines on them, but I would say my favorite is probably porcupines for the moment. And an animal I've never used but would like to. Sorry, my dog's on my lap and moving around. I have to think about that one. I have a very kind of strict, I guess, matrix, you could say, for the things I like to base pictures off of. I don't like animals that are too obscure, but I also don't like animals that are a little bit trite. So, like, you'll never see me probably doing, like, tiger or a wolf. You know, I feel like too many people do those. I like kind of bringing into view the more unusual, left out animals, but not the ones that are ridiculous looking. Like, I still like platypi. I think platypi are cool. They're very fantasy, like, based, in my opinion. They feel very fantasy anyway. So platypuses. What other animals do I like? I like kiwis. They also feel super fantasy. They're borderline, though, in my opinion, being almost too exotic. Like an echidna, I feel like an echidna would be going too far. Like, if you're thinking about doing an echidna, I would almost just do a hedgehog instead. You know, unless you needed that beak for something. But, you know, because I feel like doing something that's almost too exotic is almost more distracting than helpful, if that makes any sense. Like, people are too hung up if they've never seen one before. Like, what is that thing? That they're not really thinking of, I guess, anything else. Yeah, but sloths are so mainstream now, you know? Like, think about it, they really are. Like, I actually, so, okay, a few of the things that kind of dip into my realm that I'll do that I'm not big on, but I know, like, people like them and I don't mind doing them, are sloths and owls. Like, if you look at my coloring book I did, like, there's a fox in there, there's a sloth, there's a skunk, there's a, you know, there's an owl. I've got like 4 owl prints just because owls are so, everyone loves owls, you know. But there's a, like, kind of a list of just safe animals, I'd say. And typically, like, you know, tigers and wolves and things like that are on them. Oh, snails. Snails are another one I like. However, if you want to talk about my storytelling side, which is, in my opinion, more me than my illustration side. I would say I'm a storyteller first and an illustrator second. So for my stories, I like to use caterpillars and mice and, little things like that. Caterpillars are huge for me. I love caterpillars. Woolly bears are like my jam. I love me a woolly bear. Yeah, hedgehogs are getting there. They definitely have a pretty big presence on the internet. Like any internet famous animals are basically already blown out, Those are, you could consider those mainstream now. So like if I were going to go to a regular con and maybe I needed to make a new piece or something, I could do one of those animals and be pretty safe. Though, like, owls are pretty timeless. And I do snails, and people seem to really like snails, so I feel like snails are on the up and up, too. Like, I feel like people really do like snails. Funny enough, snails are cute. But never slugs. No love for the sluggies. Unless they're sea slugs, like the sea slugs that look like bunnies. I feel like people like those ones. Just because they're cute, but normal slugs, no love for the normal slugs. Little sluggers. Hey, Sarah. Hi, Emily. How you guys doing? How's your Saturday? Okay, now I'm going a little darker so I can start adding more, of the things that are gonna be dark. This is gonna be dark. Yeah, I don't know what animal I'd want. Like, I feel like there isn't an animal I haven't done yet. Like, if I wanted to do it, I've probably done it. So maybe if I haven't done one yet, I don't know it yet. That's a hard question, Shadow. It's a good one, but it's a hard one. I'm good, Emily. I'm a little stressed, but when am I not, Convention season is upon us. I'm going to my first one this year, this upcoming weekend. So this week's going to be mainly prep. There's not going to be a Saturday stream or a Friday stream next week. So I didn't do one last week, which I feel pretty bad about, but I was really swamped with stuff I needed to get done. Squirrels, I have a personal vendetta against squirrels. I know that probably sounds weird when I say it like that, but I don't like that when I had my own house a while ago, I was pissed off at the squirrels because they always stole from my little black-capped chickadees. Like, they would go into their feeder and, do their acrobatics, which, yeah, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, I would be so mad they were stealing food from my little cheapers, So, I don't know, I got kind of mad at squirrels. They're thieves. Dirty thieves. Yeah, see, Zambies, you totally get what I mean, though, then. Like, they're cute, but they're so weird that if somebody saw it, they're like, what is that? They're not as recognizable as other animals, per se. And technically, this isn't even a ram. It's technically a sheep that has ram horns, which you'd think that'd be a ram, but it's not. They look very different. So, I guess I'm kind of cheating there, but whatever, it's fantasy, dog. Whatever. Do what you want. I'm going to start improving my Patreon a little bit coming up. So for my curious collectors, they're going to actually start getting an update that has kind of a how I thought of that month's curious collector. So that'll be really, really cool. I'll enjoy sharing that because every month it tends to be a different way I go about it. So I thought it'd be neat to share that. Some people might actually kind of dig that process. I don't know. And then I was thinking about doing time lapses, but I gotta get some time set aside to be able to do that, which can be a pain in the butt, but we'll see how the year goes. This year is going crazy fast already. What about you guys? Has it been fast for you? Like, I feel like not only it's been fast, but I feel like it's been really sad. Like, I've known probably 6 people who have either had to put pets down or they've lost family members already. Like, this year, man, I don't know. It's already kind of bleh. I'm not going to judge the rest of the year by that, but man, that's a rough start. But yeah, I'll be at C2E2 this upcoming weekend if any of you guys that just came in are going to be there. Yeah, I've done a kiwi. It's in my coloring book. It's actually the first page of my coloring book. And kiwis I put up there with platypi because they're weird, but like people are pretty well acquainted with them. So like if you drew a kiwi, people would mainly know what it is, and they know it's real. And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, kiwi birds! I love kiwi birds." Blah blah blah. Which that's a nice little pocket to find when it comes to animals. But the ones where they look too weird, like tapirs, I love tapirs, man. Like, tapirs are awesome. I have a few stuffed animals of tapirs, but that's another one where somebody'd be like, "What is that?" They don't know. So you got to be kind of careful with which, animals you're working with. I mean, unless you kind of make that your thing, like having lesser known animals brought to light sort of deal. But yeah, isn't that weird? What happened to this year? Oh, hold on.
Here's your reminder. Instagram post.
Oh yeah. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I have a reminder to do my Instagram post every night because I want to do it every night at 8, especially since I'm doing this story now. For those that haven't been following me on Instagram, I've been doing a daily story lately that has to do with a little mouse that works at a lighthouse, and I called it the Light Mouse because I'm a jerk and I like plays on words. But anyway, so I like people to be able to know kind of when it's going to update, kind of like a webcomic, but I'm not treating it like a webcomic. It's more just a story. I don't know. But yeah, so if anybody's interested in that, here's my Instagram. And those look like this. These are the ones I've been putting up the past couple days. That's okay, Zambies. I don't think we were following each other. Don't even feel bad about it. So these, funny enough, they look like this, but these are done with Tombows, which are water-based markers. Again, I just wanted something very simple that I could finish every day. So for these, I use these things. Where did my... Oh, shoot. I think I lost my... There it is. Okay. So for these, let's show this one. Oh, that's today's. Let's do this. Oh, thanks for the host, Zambies. So for these, they're this. So the process is I do the dark things with that one. I do a little bit lighter things with that one. Separate things, usually separate things. So like these things in the background, those are this one. But these things in the foreground are this one. And the difference between Prismacolor's Copics and Tombows and Faber-Castells is these are alcohol-based, these are water-based. The difference is that the alcohol-based are consistent. You can put like down a block of it and then put another like layer of it on top of it, and it doesn't get dark. It just fills it in better, and it stays consistent and is like a very solid form, right? But if you use water base, if you do like, you do a pass, let it dry, do another pass, gets darker, do another pass, gets darker. Like the water base will act like a multiply brush in Photoshop, where these are just like a normal brush in Photoshop. So I'm using these for this because then it's easier for me to get darks, and usually this is like just a pass or two, but I can get all these different shades from just these two things, So I actually really like that. And then to get rid of a lot of the lines that come with doing markers, since these are water-based, I'll kind of put it down. And then if I've got lines like that, I use this thing. Now I'm sure a lot of you probably haven't seen one of these before. And I blend it out. Now this isn't a blending marker because that is this. This is actually the Tombow blending marker. I actually don't like it. It doesn't do what I want it to. It works fine the way it's supposed to, but I don't use it the way I'm supposed to. If you guys have ever seen water brushes like these, they have like an actual brush at the end. This is the equivalent, but it's a marker, and it's got this little push pump right here. So this actually goes up and down like a syringe. So you put it in water, you suck it up, and then you press on this to get more water out here. So you see how I've blended it here really nicely? It's because it's water, and it's a water-based marker. So I actually just blend it out. You gotta do it pretty quickly though, and it is pilling. I'm not using probably the best paper for it, but I gotta be honest, I just grabbed this paper and I just went with it. I didn't care. And I was like, I'm gonna just pick a bunch of things, stick with them, just work with whatever happens. And honestly, I've had the best results with a lot of things I've started because I've just kind of dove into things like that. So in other words, I've been like really having fun with that. So these first, then blend, and then once that's dry, do everything that needs a speck highlight with a gel pen, and then blend over it with a regular pencil. So that's been really fun though. This has been a nice thing that I've just kind of kept up doing. Also, a little tip that I had on my Instagram recently, but I haven't actually shown it on here. This is a detergent cup. Like, we get Gain, and Gain has, detergent cups. I'm trying not to spill this everywhere, but you know how detergent cups have these little lips on them? I don't know if you can see this. It's got like a little, I don't know if I'm already spilling. Look at that. Hold on. You see that lip right here? So that's actually a dip in the actual cap. So what's cool is a lot of the time when you're painting, you want to set your brush on something, and it sits perfectly in this little dip, and it doesn't move. It's really nice because you don't ever want to leave your brush in water, because all the adhesives and glues and things that are holding the brush to the actual rest of it, they'll dissolve if you leave them in water too long. So you always want to clean your brush off and then set it there. And this detergent cap has been awesome for that. So I don't know. I'm very practical, and I'm kind of a penny pincher. So that's how I like to roll typically. Let's see, is there music? Hi, Uber. Do you guys hear music? Oh my god. So anyway, I'm gonna have to do that post in a little bit. Hopefully I'm not gonna forget. Hi, Alice. Yeah, you had a really bad start to your year too. I really hope yours picks up for sure. Oh, thank you, Zambies. I'm glad you like my style. Where do I buy my milky white pens? Funny enough, so something else I learned last year that all my life I didn't know, and I'm probably gonna blow someone's mind here. Regular Jelly Roll pens, right? You can get these for like 99 cents at a lot of places. If you get them at Dick Blick, they totally skyrocket the price because they know artists are using these. But if you go to like Michael's, you can get one of these for like 99 cents. But this blew my mind. Right here, there are different sizes. This actually says 08. You probably can't even see that. No, you can't. Maybe down here? Well, anyway, it says 08, and this says 05. I had no idea my whole life that there were different size tips to Jelly Roll pens, but there are. And honestly, there's a huge jump between these two. It doesn't seem like it would be, but I definitely miss my 8 if I'm trying to fill in a big spot with my 5. So they do make a difference. funny enough. But yeah, the regular jelly rolls are actually really opaque, and what Gabe and I really like about them is you can smear them. So if you do a thing, you can smear. So a lot of my magic, when I'm doing my magic, or like when I'm actually gonna do, I guess I could do it right now actually. So for this flame, right? Just doing this, and I can keep layering it, but you know, you can smudge it. With a lot of, you know, these kind of things you can't, like the Sakura ones, those ones kind of suck. However, Gabe just got a really good one recently. No, I don't know where I put it. It's like a Faber-Castell paint pen. Of course. Right when I need it, I totally misplaced it. It's around here somewhere. I'll find it. Hold on. I mean, it was here like 2 days ago. I haven't moved that many things. Come on. Unless it's in here. Maybe it's in here. I don't think it's in there. But that one's really nice too. Though it is for bigger areas. Like, if I can show you how big it is. Good Lord. Yeah, I guess I lost it. Oh. You give me something one day and I lose it. I'm not gonna accept defeat. Where did it go? Aha! Sucker. Found it. Okay. So it's actually this stuff over here too. So this one is hella white, right? And you can smudge it, but it has to be really quick. But this is a lot more like thick and opaque. If you want a bigger area, you know, you might want to use this one. But yeah, anyway, I'll leave this in here because, so we've got some semblance. But yeah, this is a Faber-Castell White 101. Gabe actually has one that's twice this size. It's a big chonker. But I mean, if I was going to fill in like this whole background with white, I would use that bigger one. This one is good for, you know, maybe some highlights in some of these areas. But he got that, I think, at Blick. Oh, thanks, Shadow. They come in different sizes, right, Sammies? I had no idea. Yeah, jelly roll pens are great. They're actually really good for a lot of different kinds of magic. Hey, Desperado, I'm good. How are you? I haven't forgotten about your commission. You're on my list. I'm hopefully going to get to it in the next month or two. Oh, thanks, Alice. I appreciate that. Oh, Target. Oh yeah, so Dick Blick is kind of like the actual artist place to go. Michael's, Joanne, Hobby Lobby, those are all craft stores. And funny enough, Joanne like never has sketchbooks, or at least never the ones I like. So, I mean, if you've got a Blick near you and you want some serious art supplies, go there. They won't have crafty type stuff normally, but yeah, Blick is a good place. Now I don't know why this is. You can kind of see it, I guess, from this far away. Anyway, I don't know how dark I want to go with this, or even if I want to add black. Typically I don't like adding black in here, but you know what, maybe I should. Just to go a little darker. Oh, bye, Uber. Thanks for stopping in. Plaza. I don't know what that is. Never heard of that. I don't know what AC Moore is either. Those might be ma and pa stores, I'm guessing. Oh my god, Butters, you are getting too warm, honey. Here, you want to go on the ground? Want to go on the floor? A big pillow? Yeah? It's a nice big pillow that's not as warm as my lap. Oh my gosh, you overheat so easily. Good girl. Yeah, I don't know what AC Moore is. Oh no, it's closing. Oh, we'll do Uber. He might be in the chat, I'm not sure. Let's see. Oh, really? Cool. Yeah, I'd never heard of it. Maybe Gabe had heard of it. Oh, if you are one of my curious collectors on Patreon and you have not voted for what free print you would like, please make sure to go do that. There's a post I put up yesterday. Everybody at the $5 level or higher gets a free print, but you have to vote on which one you want. So make sure to go do that if you haven't yet. What does the AC stand for? Is that someone's name? What are you doing, Butter? What are you doing? Alright, so I'm gonna try... Gabe, are you in the chat? No. Doesn't seem like it. I usually don't use really long brushes like this. I feel like they probably look a little bit pretentious, but this is the only one I had that had a good amount of water I can add to it. Hi! Welcome back. You wanna come up? Okay. Butters is back. Oh, art and craft. I could see that. That would make sense. Oh, this one's supposed to be like a market. paper off there for the horns. Let's see. Do I have any black near me? Would be kind of cool to make it a little bit darker. I do. Alright, pro tip, when you have ink, do not ever shake it if you haven't used it for a long time. Tilt it, slowly. You never want to shake it because then it gets bubbles and that can mess up a lot of stuff. Remember to just tilt it. Now this might open up a whole bag of worms. I don't know if I actually want to do this or not. Ooh, those crickets are too much. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a test at the top. See how that goes. Can you guys hear the music? Oh Lord. Oh, for those that were at my stream, the last one, not last week, but the week before, this is how this one ended up. This is for a guy's book cover. The actual final piece has a lot of like lighting, extra digital work around it, and there's a vignette, and I've kind of pumped and like toned down colors in certain areas, but this was actually really fun to work on. So he's doing a book that's puzzles for players. It's like puzzles that help DMs in D&D games and such. But yeah, I thought that was really, really fun. I liked his idea for the book. I thought it was cute. Oh shit, that black is really black. Kind of keeping my eye on the time too, so I don't miss my 8 o'clock posting. Okay, so if I keep this relatively toned down. And then they had white eyelashes, which I just thought was the coolest damn thing. Like, I don't want to use too much black, but I do want it to be darker than it is. Because I feel like if I just keep adding this walnut brown, it's just going to get more and more saturated. And I don't want that for the shadows, because shadows are desaturated for the most part. So adding this will probably even help the shadows to speak less, but more, I guess, if you want to say that. Like, they'll be darker shadows, but they won't feel as loud. It's a good way to put it, I guess. I had to look up if black-capped chickadees come to Illinois because I was so scared they didn't. I was really afraid. They apparently do, but I didn't see any last year, so hopefully this year I will. Do love my black-capped chickadees. Well, it's gonna be a while before he's ready to put it up. Because I just gave him the cover, so he's still compiling the book. It's electronic too. It's not actually a physical book. But Emily, once he puts it out, I can actually point you to it. I can give you his Facebook, I guess. That's all I really know about him. Like if you go... I wonder if he's even got a mailing list. That would be smart. I have no idea if he has a following or anything, but he had left a review. I can't click it. I'm not signed into Facebook, but if you look at this, his name is Mark. He's the guy named Mark there. Also, if any of you want to be awesome and give me a review on Facebook, on my Facebook page, I just found out you can do that. I feel really dumb, especially being as tech savvy as I am, but apparently there's an area where you can review like artists and stuff. So if any of you want to do that, that'd be awesome. If you have something nice to say. If you don't, then we can figure it out. Message me and tell me how much you hate me, and I'll do what I can to make you not hate me, because, you know, there's probably a good reason you hate me if you hate me. I don't know. Most of the time. I would like to think if somebody hates me, they have a good reason. I mean, wouldn't you say, like, if somebody hated you, wouldn't you want them to have a good reason to hate you? If it's a dumb reason, that'd be stupid. Then that's their fault. That's on them. Now for this other side of the horn, I'm actually not going to use black on that because that's more lit than this is. And I might actually push everything over here back so that it's behind white once I start bringing the white in. Ah, this is not a commission piece. No, this is actually this was inspired by, I was watching a bunch of James Gurney videos because I was binging them the past 2 weeks while I was on a treadmill at the gym. Made for a really nice kind of zoning out, serene experience. But anyway, he was drawing sheep live at a farm thing, and some of the sheep had hoods. So I got really inspired by hoods because, if any of you know, I have a whole book about, I'd say ungulates, but they're not all ungulates. Ungulates are hoofed grazing animals. But it's a book that's mainly ungulates, but other things too, that have horns and things like horns that I just wanted to put a bunch of decor on. So I have a whole book of that. So when I saw these sheep wearing hoods, I got excited, and I went home and I did this quick sketch. And since I don't have much time tonight to actually work on any of my commissions that I've got, I figured I'd just do a quick ink wash so I can sell it. So this, if nobody wants this, before the con, I'll go and bring it to the con with me this next weekend. So if anybody here wants this, let me know. Otherwise, I'll bring it to the con and sell it. But yeah, it's funny how inspiration works, right? Oh man, I gotta do my post real quick. Hang with me. Before I do that though, these are the commissions I've got in progress right now. This dog is, right now I've got the flats done and I started the rendering, so his face looks really weird right now. I haven't done any rounding out, it's just color right now. But he ended up being a chef slash paladin. I've got some black caps in here that stole part of his bread loaf. His name is Pooter. I love that. He's a mini pincher, miniature pincher, and his name is Pooter. I can't stop laughing every time I do this. His name's Pooter. And then this is Lewis. He's a bard. He likes, got a bundle of dry spaghetti at the bottom. But they wanted to give him an accordion. I started figuring out that depending on what type of personality traits the pet has, they would be playing a different instrument depending on if they turn out to be a bard after I've done my paw reading. Then I further pry into that and I'm like, okay, so this instrument would be these pet traits and this instrument would be these pet traits. So the fact it's an accordion actually is part of his personality still. So this is probably half done. It's still just colors at the moment. He likes watching squirrels, so he's serenading the squirrels, and like I said, he really likes dry pasta. So I've got to get those done and do C2E2 prep. If I had more time, I would be working on those right now, but for you guys, but I don't. What was I gonna do? Oh, the post. Yeah, the post. Okay. Give me 2 seconds. I gotta post this. Okay. draft. Luckily, I made a draft. Oh, now it's not loading? Really? You want to be that guy? Get out of here. Wow. Okay, I guess I gotta do it again. Wow, that sucks. Okay. Whatever. I'll just do it real quick. Hang tight, y'all. Gotta do my light mouse post. I'm so bummed it didn't save my draft. I wonder if that's like on purpose? Maybe it doesn't save drafts when you leave Instagram. I don't know. It's kind of bogus. Okay. Almost ready. What is this, day 4? Is it day 4? I think it's day 4. Okay, here we go. And then I gotta share it to Tumblr, because Tumblr's a butt. Tumblr. And then I gotta do Twitter real quick. There we go. Oh, Zambies, do you have multiple accounts? I feel like I followed one, but not the one you just followed me on. Do you have a different one? Okay. Here we go, here we go. Twitter's such a jerk sometimes. Also, I hate that I'm posting on a Saturday. Like, I'm really happy with the first of the 2 panels that are going up today, but I hate that it's on a Saturday, because Saturday and Sunday are really bad posting days typically. Alright, and then Twitter's up. God, that's so dumb, I can't just forward them all. Can't just forward to Tumblr because Tumblr only takes one of the pictures if you upload multiple. Twitter's got their stupid character count, so you can't do as many there. Oof. It's a whole bunch of crap. Anyway, okay. Whew. Let me get caught up in chat here a second. Oh man, this color intensity is not what it should be. It's contrast. There, that's a little bit better, I guess. Right. Sorry about chat, guys. I sell my work on Etsy and at cons, and I'm going to be putting originals up on my website instead. I would actually say to anybody who plans on putting a bunch of originals up to do it on a personal site. If you can, even if you don't have like a storefront on your site, just to have originals up on your website, because Etsy is phenomenal for everything for the most part, and it's worth taking the hit of the fees they've got, except when it comes to their listing fees. So the listing fees, I would say put your most popular items up on Etsy because they're going to keep selling and it's going to keep getting you enough revenue to put back into Etsy in terms of the listing fees. But if you put up things that are like one of a kind and you pay the listing fee and then you have to keep paying the listing fee every couple months, it's not going to really be worth it, I feel like. But if you put it up on your website's kind of indefinite, so you're not having to pay over time a bunch for that to stay up there. You know, and it takes a lot longer to move an original than it does a print, right? Oh, really, Serenity? Damn it. That's why I didn't save it. Yeah, if any of you want to claim this, just say so in the chat. You guys get first dibs. You're here. Oh, I got you, Sambies. I got you. But yeah, you guys are the first to see it happen and all that, so if you want it, it's yours. It'll probably be like $60. It's around a 5x7, so it's not that big. But yeah, I'd probably take 60. I might mark it up for the convention or once I put it up online, but for you guys, I'll do 60. It can get expensive. I mean, okay, so here's how I think about it. The listing price is 20 cents a listing, right? And that listing can have a bunch of different variations, a bunch of different pieces if you wanted to. If you wanted to cram a bunch of prints in one listing, you can. But the only problem is whatever print is your main one, that's going to be your thumbnail. So people might not know there are other prints. So you could do that, but the problem is if you've got something that, yeah, like Emily, your crochet things, like they're one of a kind, it might be a little bit expensive. So like I've got Squarespace, which I pay like $12 a month for, but it's totally worth it. The ease of the use of it and not having to code anymore, because I like coding, but I don't want to have to spend the time to do it anymore. All that kind of stuff. It's totally worth it in my opinion. So I would much rather just put it up there and just, you know, direct people there, because there's certain types of people that like to buy originals and there's certain types of people that like to buy prints. So the prints are moved pretty well via Etsy, but when you've got originals, it can be tough. Like I've got one original that was up there that was like $200 because it was big, and it's like I was paying, you know, 20 cents every 6 months to re-put it up, and it doesn't seem like that much, but when it's been up for a couple of years, it's like, well, why don't I just put it on my regular site? I think I get decent enough traffic to my site now, but I didn't used to. So it really depends on like the stage of your business and all that, and you know how you're driving people to your site. If you don't get much business, then maybe it's not smart to put it there. Like depending on wherever you get a lot of business and inquiries, I would almost say you could advertise the things on there, you know, if you've just got one of a kind things. Like I said, prints kind of sell themselves. Those are pretty easy, especially since they're cheap. Like cheap to make, cheap to buy, for the most part. I can't justify selling a print for $40. Like a lot of my friends, they do that. I can't do that. I don't know. Like I know what type of paper people are using and stuff, and it's like, I don't know. I don't find it worth it. Like I can give you a small original for $40. Like I don't want you paying that much for a print. Seems silly. I mean, if I was more into making money, it's brilliant. But since I kind of put myself in the consumer's shoes a little bit too often, I really don't want to potentially rip people off. Because it's like, I wouldn't want that. Why would I do that to someone else? I don't know. Okay, so from this far, I can probably do the highlights in a minute here. I mean, unless they're on canvas or something, but even then, I don't know. I tried to look up tapestries in canvas prints for my stuff. They're damn expensive. It's like $60 for one thing, for me to make one, and I don't even know if it would sell. That's a big chunk to just kind of guess on. Oh no, I must swear too much. Alice, I tried to write thank you on my comment and it replaced it with fuck you. Whoops! Glad I double check all the things I do here. Yeah, and he's climbing on wax nonetheless. That'd actually be pretty difficult if you think about it. Because wax can like flake and come apart really easily. Alright. Go, baby, go, go. You mean how people, like if there's a template, people wrote them in, Emily? Well, Serenity, what you could do, I found that for some people it works better that they open their store sometimes and close it other times, because then they build hype. But usually those are big time people too, so I don't know if that's a good option for everybody. I know sometimes it's a good option for some, but you could try it, especially if you don't really depend on your store or you've got other forms of income or anything like that. You don't need to have it up all the time. I mean, like, Gabe and I kind of need to, and we need to do, you know, new things to it, and we need to do marketing and all that stuff for it. But, like, if you don't have to and you don't want to, don't. You know, you don't need to. Don't do anything you don't want to do, you know? I mean, even if you have to do it, sometimes you can find out something else so you don't have to do that, you know? Okay. I think we're good to go here in a minute. I'm just trying to warm up certain places now that I've kind of gotten a little bit too dark. Which I'm sure can't be seen on the freaking camera. I think I might actually black the bottom too. You might need to wait, Serenity, until you get the ball rolling better with a fan base. I know it took me a while to actually start making any money. I remember I was on Society 6 first, big mistake. That place sucks. They overprice you for what they're making for you, and you don't make jack from it. So I highly suggest don't have a Society 6. But I started there, and I had an Etsy, and I didn't sell anything. Like, the first couple prints I had, nobody wanted them. But it wasn't, I shouldn't say that nobody wanted them. It's that nobody saw them. Like, I didn't have a good fan base at the time. I didn't have, you know, a presence. It took a long time for me to build that. I'd say close to 7 years now, at least, because I started on Instagram probably in 2012. I think Gabe and I figured that out recently. I think it was around 2012. So it took a while. It wasn't like I was just like, hey, I'm going to start selling crap online. It was, I'm going to start selling crap online, and oh no, I'm not making any money. What am I doing wrong? You know, and then it's a bunch of trial and error. And just grinding, man. Grinding over time just takes time. Unless you go viral, which a couple of my friends have, and they're very lucky they did. But for the rest of us, it's a slow uphill climb. Some people look out, some people don't. It's just how things are. Oh, I got you, Emily. Yeah, I could see that. Some people call things differently. Some things different than other things. My eyes are blurry. Thank you for the follow. What's up? Okay, so I'm taking the gel pen now. I'm going through and I'm going to do all the speck highlights. So that means all the things that I know are shiny or have a very obvious hot spot on them. And by hot spot, I mean like their material. If they're typically a very shiny or metallic-y or wet or any kind of material that has that little, like, you usually see it, it's like a little circle of light that's just on it. It's from the light source. Those sorts of things, I'm going to go and I'm going to start putting them where I think that the light from the candle would end up hitting it. And wax is one of those things. Wax is very speck heavy. It's got specular lights all across it. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to place those. I've got a couple favorite things that I do at conventions. This is going to sound really dumb, but the first thing obviously is just talking with people and meeting new fans. That's really, really fun. I'm an ambivert, so I can do both introvert and extrovert things, but the difference is that when I'm in extrovert mode, it's like I have a stamina bar where I can only go so long. I'm not awkward or socially awkward or anything like that. Like, I can handle myself fine, but I can only do it for so long. So when I'm at conventions, I'm usually on for the con, and then after that, I hermit like crazy. I go back to the hotel room immediately if I can. If I gotta get food, okay, but usually I go back to the hotel room ASAP. Because I just want to veg and chill and just be quiet with myself, But my two favorite things are talking to people that I meet at the con and then going back and having that like super quiet time. I love that so much. Like, I usually curl up on the bed, make any new things I have to make for the next day, or work on projects I don't usually get to work on because I can't exactly have the concentration to work on a lot of the commissions I have. I'm usually pretty scatterbrained after that day. So I don't like to work on anything that requires a lot of brain heavy thinking because I know I'm gonna, do a worse job on that thing if I think about it during those times. So I really don't like to do that then. So that means I get to do a lot of things I don't normally get to do. So that means work on projects I don't get time for, or just, relax on things, draw some fun things, eat some good food. It's a really nice time for me. So that's nice. And maybe take a bath if the hotel room has a bath. Because we just have a shower here at home. We don't have a bathtub. Thanks, Blurry. Ambivert, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not full introvert where I'm quiet and, recessive the whole time. I'm extroverted too, but I'm very particular with what I'm extroverted for, I guess. Let's see. Okay, Alice, feel better, okay? Yeah, I miss you. I hope you're alright. Yeah, I'm sad I don't do it either, Emily. I've got a few fans over in AwesomeCon that they're great. Hey, Acromus. Yeah, it is a balance. That's a good way to put it. For real. Because it's too much sometimes, and depending on who you deal with that day, it can just totally take it out of you, man. Like, for real. Nutty kind of stuff. I do miss AwesomeCon though, Emily. AwesomeCon was really awesome. Like, it had a lot of good people there. I liked a lot of the fellow artists I met. Because there are some artists, when you go to cons and you're an artist, you get placed next to them, you've never met them before, and, they're really cool. You guys become friends online and stuff, but like a lot of the time they're like weekend warriors, so they only do basically local cons around them. So, you know, even if you're someone like me or Gabe, you know, you do cons around the country or whatever, you may only see that person at that con. So it gets kind of sad because if you stop going to that con, you don't really see them anymore. So I've made friends at cons I used to go to, and now I don't go to them anymore. It's kind of sad. Like, that happened with Awesome Con, that happened with Heroes Con. Heroes I was bummed out about. That's very much a seniority show. Like, you have to keep going there to kind of get a better and better place every year, because it's kind of shaped like a circle, and they put the senior, you know, people who have been there a long time in the middle, and then all the noobs they kind of put on the outside. So that's where I was the first time, but that's in North Carolina. The nice thing about that con is it's cheap. It's just, if you're in a bad place, it kind of sucks. SuperCon, we met kind of an alternate dimension version of our group in SuperCon. That's in Florida. That was kind of cool. It was eerie, creepy, funny, cool. Like, we could almost line up everybody that was in our friend group with people that were down there. That was cool. But yeah, I haven't gotten to see them since, because they only do like Florida and stuff. Two of them though do like bigger cons, but since Gabe and I started switching off conventions, we haven't like always lined up with them. So that's kind of a bummer. But totally a weird duality, for sure. I don't know if that's the official name, Sarah. I've heard people say, what was it? Intro extrovert something. I don't know. It's a harder to say word than what I thought of, but I like calling it an ambivert because it's kind of like ambidextrous, but you know, it's both. But yeah, I don't know if that's the official term. Don't quote me on that. It's just what made sense to me. It'd be nice to have a reunion, yeah. Or it'd be even better if those cons got better so I could, like, you know, go back there. Gen Con, though, Emily, like, it'd be nice to see you again at least at Gen Con, because, you know, if I'm there, it's great. But Gen Con is getting increasingly harder and harder to get into for me and my friends. You know, even if they're becoming a big name and stuff, it's harder for people to get in, and we're not sure why. I don't know if, you know, they change judges every year, so that could always be part of it, for sure. But I wonder if, like, maybe they have different things they focus on. Like, maybe one year it's mainly tabletop artists, and then the next year maybe it's like book cover artists, you know, and then the next year it's Magic the Gathering artists. Like, it's hard to tell if they're going with a theme or not, but either way it's getting really, really difficult to get in there, and it sucks because that was my best show ever. Oh man, I was flying high at that show. It was great. Like, those were my people. I would love to go back there. But yeah, if my friends that are in the Spectrum books can't even get in there, you know, it's got to be a tough grind then. Or it's, you know, who you know, I guess. It could be that too. Words are made up anyway, yeah. Oh, that's true. Emily, I forgot where you were. Sorry. Yeah, that makes total sense. I'm sure you guys will go again, though, someday. I mean, you're tabletop fans. And, I mean, that is a damn good con. I think for anyone and everyone who likes the stuff that's there. Yeah. It was amazing. I've never made even close to that much money again at a con. It was surreal, Sarah. Like, it was so good. And especially with kind of your your D&D heavy stuff, yeah. Oh my god. It's so good. Like, that crowd is just amazing because they're all very knowledgeable. They know what they like, which, funny enough, that's one of the things I've noticed going to conventions and tabling, is that, you get people who don't know what they want, and it's a lot harder for you to sell stuff. But if you get somebody who comes up to your table and they're like, I want that, and that, it's like, whoa. You're like, wow. You really know what you like, what you're into. It's cool. It's cool seeing people that are that, I guess, confident in what they like. And Gen Con was just nothing but that. Everybody knew what they liked, and they were there. It's so cool. You do get that more at the bigger conventions. So, like, New York Comic Con has a lot of those people. Also, New York. So, of course, they're like that. And then Emerald City. Emerald City is probably my top 3. Dragon Con is amazing. Those are my top cons. Gen Con being 1, Dragon Con being 2, Emerald 3, New York 4. Really good cons. C2E2 that I've got this upcoming week, I've only done it twice. And the last time was 2 years ago. And I had a whole different set of merch and all that kind of stuff. Whole different setup, really. So I'll be able to judge that better after this next weekend. So right now, I have no idea. I mean, who knows? It's always a toss-up, really. If you go to a new con or go to an old con you haven't been to in a while again, it's always a toss-up. Oh, that's a terrible noise. Oh yeah, that'd be cute. Like their first Gen Con. Oh, this one's a little creepy. A little too creepy. Remember, if anybody wants to claim this, you guys get first dibs. So I'd say $60 and it's yours. Otherwise, I'm bringing it to the conventions with me. Oh, that's creepy too. Here we go. Nice little ocean storm. Oh man, a LuxCon. So Gabe and I tabled at Spectrum. When was it? 2016 or 2017? I think it was 2016. We actually had tables at Spectrum. It wasn't our crowd. I mean, we did fine. The people seemed to welcome us enough, and, it was nice. It just wasn't, like, my demographic, really. And it just, we're surrounded by people doing oil paintings and people that like to spend like 40 to 300 hours on a piece. And I'm sitting here like, hell no, that is not how I work. And that's kind of when I started realizing that, I mean, I know I write stories and I draw to them too, but it made me actually start thinking I'm more of a storyteller first, and I'm an illustrator second. Where these people, they're just mainly illustrators. Like, that's their bread and butter. They will spend that much time on an illustration where I would rather spend that much time on a story. And I'm really thankful for going to Spectrum for that reason, because it really made me figure out a part of myself that I may not have otherwise. At least knowing to myself. I would have still kept doing what I was doing, but it made me understand why. And I think that's super important, because I was living in a house with people that they're very much Spectrum artists. They love spending that much time on stuff. They're very traditional, old school, mentality about their work and how they go about it, and color and mediums and all that kind of stuff. And that just wasn't me. And I was trying to, do the fit the square in the circle hole sort of deal or whatever, and it wasn't working for me. So once I saw that, it kind of opened my eyes. So sorry, Sarah, I kind of went on a tangent. After I saw LuxCon, it kind of pushed me into the Spectrum mode. So for me, a LuxCon and Spectrum aren't really for me, So I would probably never want to go to a LuxCon. You kind of got to pick your battles too. So for you, you're going to probably have to figure out where your people are, and that's part of the hard thing when you start conventions is you got to figure out where your people are, and you have to go to them. So it took me about 2 or 3 years to actually figure out what cons are my best cons, that I should go for. And not only that, but since I was doing, 2 to 3 cons a month some years, I never got to make new content. So I figured out how important it is to at least come down a little bit off conventions a year or two, every other, so you can actually make more stuff. Because it is so embarrassing going to a con like for a 3rd year in a row and having the same stuff. Because people will come up and they'll be like, oh, it's you. Hey, so you got anything new? And you're like, since you last saw me? No. And like saying that is just painful. So it is really important, not only health-wise too, just to take some time and to, put your effort back into creation. So you've got something to show people. And just, to invest back into you for a bit. Don't forget about that. It's not just all about making products. It's also about, expressing yourself. You're an artist. You gotta have time to do that. So that's important. Yeah, and I, don't let me discourage you from going. Sarah, you should totally go. Who knows, your people might be there. But, and I highly encourage going to whatever ones you can. I did an art fair that was in Iowa randomly because I had a friend that lived in Iowa. And I did this outdoor art fair that was very small, and it was primarily seniors, like older people. And it sucked. It was one of the worst things I've ever done because, like, Gabe and I were sitting in basically 90-degree heat, terrible humidity. All my stuff, my setup was not outdoor safe or anything. It actually, the sun bleached my tablecloth and some of my art, and a couple of my books. So that really sucked. I just wouldn't want to do outdoor cons in general. And people always ask me about Ren fairs. There is no crossover between doing conventions and doing Ren fairs. Like, they're completely different. Like, you have to have the right kind of merch for a Ren fair. It's extremely expensive to get a booth at a Ren fair because, they only have so many. It's not like a big convention that's got like 200 some artist tables. They have limited space at those things because they're actual architecture, So. Oh, interesting, Sarah. Why? What is that? Why do you have that pet peeve? Like showing new things online, you mean? Or... because you're posting new stuff all the time, aren't you? Also, this thing has hooves, right? Because, it's a sheep ram thing. It's neither, and it's both. But they have hooves, and I drew an actual hoof holding the candle. It looked really weird, and if I was completely honest with you, it looked a little somehow like genitalia. So I was like, no, I'll bypass that one. I don't need to do that right now. It's like, I don't want him to have genital hands. That's strange. That's not the mood I'm going for right now. Right now. LOL. Okay, so we're coming up on the end here because, like I said, I gotta get back to business. I'm making 3 books by hand for C2E2, so that takes a lot of time. It's funny because there's a direct correlation between time spent and money spent. Like, time is literally money. So, me actually printing, cutting, binding, folding books is, money and time. So, gotta do that. I am saving money by doing it myself, but at the same time, it's just, oh my god. It's consuming. You gotta really like what you do sometimes. Oh wow. Yeah, you can't do that with conventions. You gotta have new stuff at least every year. I would have a set of stuff that you sell over a year, and then the next year, especially if you're doing those same shows you did the year previously, to have a new couple things at least. Like, I'd say 25% to a third of your table kind of be new, if you can. Especially if you did well the previous year and had a lot of people buying your stuff. But yeah, if you had new stuff every show, there'd be a ton of people missing out on those things. So I wouldn't say that. But every year at least. Because like I said, showing up for the third year in a row with like the same crap is pretty embarrassing. It sucks. In my opinion. Some people might do fine with it, but man, I can't. I feel dumb. Dumb. So, anybody have any questions or anything you want to talk about? Last bit of our time. Please don't forget to go check out the Light Mouse on my Instagram, the daily story I'm doing. Give it a like, give it a comment if you can. Comments really help people's stats and the algorithm on Instagram and all that crap. The more you comment on people's stuff, the better they'll get in the faces of other people. And then for those that are my patrons, if you're $5 and up, you should have an email for voting on a free print that I'll be sending out, so make sure you go check your email for that link. And I'll be sending those free prints out in March sometime. So, Frankenstein vibe? Really? I wonder why. I'll probably do some gold on this too. Oh, this is a happy song. How about that? Who are we talking about? Oh, the mouse. Sorry, Serenity. My mind is everywhere. You mean the light mouse. I got you. It's kinda, I'm not gonna say you're wrong, but I did want to like kind of mislead people, making them think he's doing something bad. So I'm telling you right now, he's not doing something bad, but I wanted to kind of mislead the reader a bit. It's gonna be sweet. Alright. This fold is killing me, but I'll have to deal with it. I made it a little too much. These things. No, that's okay. I actually usually like these stories to remain pretty wordless. So the fact I even decided to put that I don't know, it felt like it needed it right there, so I was like, okay, I'll do it this time. But I really try to make stories without words because I'm a strong believer that if you make visuals good enough, and the body language and the staging and the lighting and everything, if you do it well enough, you don't need words. You don't need anything. It should speak for itself. And then words are almost supplemental, Like, I feel like they're optional almost, I guess. But that's just me. A lot of people really like to write dialogue and all that, but I really think you should be able to follow a story for the most part without having words at all if it's a visual story, That's a little better. Alright. I don't hate this. I think it turned out pretty right. The nice thing about what I've learned with anything you make is that there's somebody that'll like it. So even let's say I hated this piece. I don't, but let's say I did. I would never just throw it away or, just keep it to myself or anything. I would at least give it a chance to come with me to conventions or, put it on Instagram or something, just letting people know, hey, this is available. Because like I said, I found that there's literally something for everyone. Example, I did this really quick, ridiculous piece years ago. Some of you were even here. Serenity, I think you might remember this, of a shoe bill. Which, if you know what a shoe bill is, they're like nightmare fuel, 100%. They're a very scary bird. Really intimidating face. Anyway, I did a random pastel piece of a shoe bill, and it was bad. In my opinion, it was bad, but that doesn't mean I'm a bad artist. That doesn't mean it shouldn't be seen by other people, all that kind of thing. So I was like, you know what? Just because I don't like it doesn't mean somebody else won't or will or whatever. So I took it with me to a couple conventions, and lo and behold, at one of them, one guy froze up, and he was holding something when he was going through my originals. I'm like, oh, which one is it? Which one's speaking to you? He's like, this one, and he turned around the shoe bill piece. And I was like, really? What is it about that one? You like shoe bills? He's like, no. I had a dream last night about a shoe bill. And I didn't even know what they were called until you said it just now, but I had a dream about these, and I need to get this. And I was like, okay. I wasn't going to argue with him or anything or tell him how I felt, because that's another thing. I think it's a wise decision to not tell people looking at your art how you feel about the art, unless they ask you, well, how do you feel about this piece? Otherwise, keep your mouth shut, because a lot of the time you might actually dig yourself into a hole. Like, let's say I had somebody come up to me and they picked up one of the things and they're like in love with it. But if I blurt out, oh yeah, I didn't have much fun on that piece, I think that piece is bad, you're technically insulting them, because they have some connection with the piece already and you just kind of brought it down. Don't do that. Either inquire to what they like about it or what draws them to it. Open up the dialogue. You'll learn a lot about yourself and your art too if you do that. But definitely don't say anything condescending about it or even too prideful about it. You could say you had fun on it or whatever, but I wouldn't go too crazy talking about it unless asked, In my older age, I've actually found that smart to kind of take to everything. Like, don't tell people too much unless they ask. Unless you're on Twitch, then if you're at my stream, I'm just going to talk at you and you're going to listen because you're here. You came here on your own accord. I'm just saying. But I just think that's a smart way to go about it, because you don't want to be that guy. I learned that early on. Oh my god. Yeah, people are amazing. Like, that's been really, really fun about conventions, If you would have asked me, like, 7 years ago when I was in my full-time career job, I didn't see anyone other than the people I worked with every day. I was mortified at the idea of selling to people or doing speeches to people, things like that. Like, I was 180 the other way of what I am now. If you told me then what I'd be doing now, I wouldn't believe you. I would 100% tell you I don't believe you. But throwing myself into the fire and trying something new, there was a year I said yes to everything because my whole life had basically melted down. And I was like, you know what? Let's go crazy. Let's just do a whole bunch of crap. I'm scared as hell. Everything's broken. Let's do this. And I said yes to everything. And that ended up telling me not only what I liked that I didn't even know I liked, but also showing me things that I knew for sure I didn't like. So, I went to an art college. I partied a little bit, but I was like, it never felt good to me. I'm not a party person, so I learned I really just don't like parties unless it's maybe 2 to 5 people. But 30 to 40, hell no, I don't want that. I don't want any of that. So I learned a lot about what I don't want and what I do want, and yeah, that's part of growing up. But some people learn that a lot slower, and I honestly think the faster you can learn that, the better off you'll be. Because, you'll be able to focus your efforts into the things you want to do because you want to do them. Like now, if I get approached about doing, something, it's like, nah, I don't want to do that because I know I actually don't want to do that, And it's cool having that kind of confidence because at one point I had the bravery to try something and find out if it was for me or not. And I'm kind of proud of myself for that. But that was during a tough time. So, maybe some of you are kind of in the same boat where you're stagnant or you need to mix things up, find out who you are. I mean, the only way to really do that is to throw yourself into situations you haven't been in before. Like, I hadn't been out of the state before I was 30. And then after that, I kind of got catapulted, like, everywhere. It's really strange. I'm very grateful for it, though. I'm proud of who I've become because of those things. Like, they've made me grow and solidify in the stuff I like and the stuff I don't. And sometimes I feel kind of bad if somebody's like, hey, come do this thing. I'm like, no. And they're like, okay. But it's like, I don't want to do that. If I went and spent the time doing that, I'd be upset about it. I mean, the people I used to live with, they like to party. I don't like to party. And I think that's really the introverted side of me. I don't like that stuff. It's not that I don't like people. It's just I don't like bopping around from person to person, starting a conversation, then bopping over to somebody else, starting a conversation there, or carrying over one from a different thing. Like, it feels like there's nothing you gain by that. And especially if there's drinking involved, then it's like nobody remembers what even anybody did usually, unless there's video or photos. And it's like, what a waste of time. Like, you gotta document stuff at least, or else what was the point, You want some kind of takeaway. But yeah, I can't get into that. And that's what a lot of after convention stuff is people going out to bars and things, and I go back. I'm lucky if Animal Planet's on. I'll watch that shit till I go to sleep, and I'll just draw, eat some good food, because I probably didn't eat much that day, if anything. And yeah, I don't know, man, have a bath. That's a night for me. I don't know. I kind of pair it with being a vacation, I guess. Because Gabe and I have a very work-oriented house. Like, a lot of our things here are configured in a way where work is easiest for us. So it's not like we have any relaxing areas for the most part. Everywhere is a place you can work in the house. Which is good. We both like it that way, but we never really think of relaxing because of that either. Alone time is best time. It's true. At least for a few of us here. If you do like to party, hell yeah, own it. do your party thing. Do whatever you like to do. That's mainly the point I'm trying to make. Do what you like to do because you know you like to do it. Don't do it because somebody else tells you to. Okay. Let's see. We do work too much. But then again, I also think it might have to do with just who we are. I've learned that... Sorry, drinking water. You never get a break with freelance. You really don't. Especially if you're freelance / independent art. Since our form of relaxing is still doing art, that could be seen as everybody seeing us do work. But honestly, like... This is my relaxing, is this story right now. Like my warm-ups and stuff and what I like to do is something I have complete control over. This technically was me relaxing. I know it doesn't seem like it, it's work and stuff, but this is what I did. I had fun doing it. It was really, no one could tell me what to do with it, and I just kind of went with it. So this is me relaxing. Gabe and I are really strange like that, I guess. And sometimes I'll veg and kind of zone out. That's me relaxing. We are workaholics, but that's also why we're good together. Because we know the signs when we've worked too much, and we do try to break the other one, like, hey, let's go to the dog park or something. That's kind of when we actually get away. But otherwise, I don't really do too much. We're home buddies. We're okay with that. Keeps things cheaper, too. We're not going out spending a ton of money at restaurants or what have you. I'm not big on shopping. He's not big on shopping. We're very simple folk. Like, a lot of our escaping that we do is in our heads. Like when we escape to make stories and things, that's our relaxing. That's what we like to do. That's where we get our fun and kind of recharge. I'm glad you like that, Emily. Thank you. Yeah, that's what we like. That's what keeps us happy. And what was killing me for the longest time and why I started the light mouse is because I just snapped. Since I hadn't been doing things like this for months on end, I wouldn't work on anything that if I had an idea, I had to suppress it and put my nose to the grindstone and do what I had to do. And, it's been crazy like that. So I've gotten a lot more selfish with time, but it also means I've had to do a lot of apologizing to people and, hey, your ETA is a little off. I'll get it to you soon. I'm sorry for its lateness, stuff like that. But that's also why this year we both cut down. I'm only doing 2 conventions so far. If I get into the 3rd one I want to get in December, then it'll have been 3 conventions this year. 2 years ago, we were doing 2 to 3 a month. That's insane. That's insane. So, yeah, we needed this. And then I've got 3 other stories I want to do this year. So we'll see if I can rearrange my time to get that, Because I have to make money somehow to be able to afford the time to do the things I want to do. And I'm also lucky that the things I'm doing on Patreon, at least my Curious Collector tier, is really also what I like to do. I love my Patreon. I'm so grateful for it. It really allows me and forces me to do the things I want to do every month. So I'm beyond grateful for any of you who are my patrons, seriously. Regardless of the tier you're at, thank you so much. You are helping more than you know. It really is, yeah. And what's another thing that's funny, and then I'll cut it short after this, but I had to learn something, and it sounds so dumb, especially now that I'm in my 30s. I was trying for the longest time to get myself to enjoy baths. Like, I would go in a bathtub with bells and whistles, like bath bomb, you know, all these nice bubble bath things and all that stuff, and I'd just sit there and I'd be bored as shit and I'd be uncomfortable. I'm like, what is going on? Like, how can people relax in the bathtub, right? And I realized some people relax with like a wet atmosphere and some people like dry. I am a blankets person. I realized this. I'm like relaxed and happiest if I'm like curled up, cozy in like a blanket nest. Super dry, super cozy, super warm, lots of soft things. I love soft things. So after I realized that, it made total sense why I don't like baths. You know? And I was like, oh, okay. And I actually did a poll about this, I think, on my Instagram. I'm like, do you like baths or do you like blanket forts and like nests, you know? And I think more, you know, people are one or the other. You know, and if you had to choose one over the other for the rest of your life, usually somebody would polarize to one or the other. So I found that really interesting. Yeah, right? Like, but it took me forever to realize I don't really like baths. And then, you know, it just kind of further is funny because we only have a shower here. We don't have a bath. Like a bathtub. I'm like, that's cool. Less for me to clean. Whatever. I'm fine with the shower. Okay. What if you can't relax at all? Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, God, Serenity, I don't even know, man. I have to force myself to with ZQL sometimes, but I know you guys don't have that. So, I don't know. You gotta meditate, maybe. I don't know if you've tried that. Probably have. You've probably tried everything at this point. I don't know. Just try not to put pressure on yourself to relax. Maybe you're relaxing when you don't realize it. I know some people relax while they're eating. Like maybe you relax during your meals. Like if you're really enjoying your food. I don't know. Maybe you are relaxing and you don't know it during something. I would even say if you're going to the bathroom, sometimes people just sit there and that's their form of relaxing. I don't know. It could be something like that. Who knows? I would just maybe try to be more cognizant of when you might be relaxing, because maybe your body's doing it when you don't even know it. That'd be really interesting to find out. Okay, so here's this. I've got some gold on it. You can kind of tell. Yeah, there you can. There you go. But yeah, this was a nice little, I think, simple piece. Nice to do. It's fun. If anybody does want it, feel free to DM me. And like I said, probably around $60. Free shipping. And I'll send it to you before I go to the convention next weekend. Otherwise, I'm going to bring it to the convention. And that's another thing. Usually goats sell really well. Like I have a goat piece. And that usually, like a goat print, that usually does really well too. So this might do okay. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. I'm so happy. Saturdays seem pretty nice for streaming, I gotta say. I'm usually a Friday streamer, but these past couple have been alright. Yeah, so patrons, check your email if you're $5 and up. And then feel free to check out my light mouse story on my Instagram. And those are my other socials. And let's see. Next stream is not going to happen because I'll be at C2E2. I'll put a little memo in the video just in case anybody forgets. But the Saturday after that should be fair game. I should be working on some commissions, if not trying to unwind like this piece here. And yeah, find me online. Thanks so much for the luck, you guys. Yeah. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend, okay? Have a good week next week. I'll see ya. Bye.